and this is the Playground Experience. I got my co-host here, April Williams and Kathy D. All righty then. Tonight's topic is about the energies and what's going on and the continuous loop. So we know with these energies, they have been fabulous. I mean, they've been working with some people, beating up some people. I mean, you don't know if you're sitting up, you're sitting down, you're laying down. I don't want to get up. I'll stay in the bed. I don't think I want to face the day. And some days you're like, I got this. And by the end of the day, your hair's all over the place. And I thought I got it. What happened?
And none of it's COVID.
And none of it's COVID at all. So this has been one that has really, I've said it before, even on the show, that there's no shortcutting on this one. It's just really, this stuff is coming out from left field. It's out the ears, it's out the eyes, it's out the nose, the mouth, the butt. Everything is coming out of you that's got to pour out of these things, these last man standing or things like that. We're talking about, we said about the coffee pot, but some of this stuff is not even like, I didn't even see it. It's like, oh, guess what? We're going to bring you another pot. And you're like, where that coffee pot? Okay, that's mine too. I don't remember. Well, I ain't never seen that before. That's yours too. What?
I just got this one clean. What do you mean I got to clean that one?
What do you mean by that? Don't bring no more mess. So,
and you find out you're in a gas station and there's like 50 pots of coffee. And for some reason, the person on the last shift didn't even watch those. So now you're dealing with like 2 shifts worth of deep cleaning.
Bubbled,
maybe more.
Tarry mess. Yes.
Yes. And so it's just like, oh my God, it's my mess. It's family mess. It's past lives mess. It's dealing with, and I don't think even really right now, I see they're saying it's a partition. We're not even that much of the other twin, if you want to say, or counterpart, is throwing a mess over. Because they're really like they saying, no, I want you to actually deal with your mess. And so it's no more, because I've done it too. And say, if it's not mine, kick it back over to the DM. And it's like, it's still there. Maybe you didn't hear me. Let me say it again. If it's not mine, kick it back over to the DM. So them 16 hefty bags, all that crap is like, oh, damn.
But now the thing is with those hefty bags and all those coffee pots, the thing you have learned through this process is how to get rid of them and how to clean them, how to check it. Is, checking those bags. Is there anything I need in here? If I haven't used it for a year, it's gone. Right. Those coffee pots, we now know we put hot water in there. We boil it up. And that's.
Oh, man, she's giving us the recipe for the day.
It's kind of like and we deal with it. We face it. And then, it gets a lot of the crud off. And what doesn't get off takes a little elbow grease. What we face, what we want to see. And what we need to see. The most important thing, I think right now, we have to get in the habit of, especially when we're dealing with our angels and our guides and our ancestors and everybody, is really just speak it out and ask. They tell us they want us to ask for help, and they're there. And then the other thing is we have to say, make it plain, make it clear. I mean, come on, we live on the puppy planet. They look at us and they go, look at them, aren't they sweet? We look at them. I want to take them home. So sometimes we're not the brightest of beings. Even though we have all these gifts, we also have those 16 hefty bags that are muffling that. And that's where we just need to, we got to sit in that boiling water, but you don't have to sit in it long, because you've already dealt with it. So you're just boiling that stuff that's off the bottom of the coffee pot up. You're sitting in that emotion, you're accepting it, and it's not going to be long, and then you see where it came from, and you release it.
Yes. Woohoo!
And we wait for the next emotion to come flying in, because now they are.
Yeah. I was once told that emotions are like farts, and they can come and stink up the room for just a little bit. But if you understand parts, they dissipate, right? That
Mm-hmm.
emotion, that attachment to that experience, it passes quickly, especially in this world of clicking to clicking our lives away, honestly. Clicking our
Mostly, yeah.
conversations away, kicking away our connection, our intimacy. And that's why it's so it's so interesting when you want to reframe and reconnect and move into the actual clearing of the things that are bothering you, clearing of the spaces that haven't been working for so long. And right now, everyone is in a high state. We're in high alert.
Mm-hmm.
So the pressure is extreme. And as we enter into this, if we don't detach ourselves from the emotion, we can get swept away in it again. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of becoming, like we called it, the loop, right? Instead of going into that loop with the emotionality, you actually step in and become the eye of the storm. You become that safe hold and that place that's looking at all these moving parts, realizing that it's not really part of it, but it's also integrated, right? Because how can you be the eye of the storm without a storm,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you calm that storm down where you have as little collateral damage? And that's what we're looking at is people entering into that addiction to the collateral damage. I'm used to feeling like I'm in a washing machine emotionally. I'm used to feeling like I'm under attack. How do I actually let myself feel in love or feel connected or feel in my abundant flow? Because I love that state of being, right? every every divine being knows, ooh, yeah, cosmic, right? But when we go into the human, we think of human as, oh, this is tumultuous, this is so heavy, this is so rough. And we can actually call in that divinity, that sense of pleasure, that sense of embodiment when we surrender to the loop. We fall inside the storm, we look at it, and then we start to dissect the pieces so we don't have to have a storm. We can actually have a beautiful afternoon, a healthy conversation. Um, it's interesting to see all of the clearing happening because everybody's going through that level of clearing. It's a matter of if we're holding on to it as part of our identity or if we are allowing it to just be the more that it is, the clearing that it is. Just because you're shown something doesn't mean you have to. I don't know. I'm finding a lot of people getting offended when you bring up solutions to problems, right? They're like,
Well, they don't want to get out of that comfort zone.
That's
I
that.
mean, we want to change. We want to get healthy. We were kind of talking about this before,
Mhm.
and we want all these things, and we want to do these things, but we also don't want to let go of that last bit of comfort, and it's like you're saying with these cycles and these loops, they can be a tornado. And to be the calm in the storm, you have to have the storm. But these also, at this point, if we've done a lot of the clearing that we needed to and that had been pointed out to us, it's a merry-go-round. And we've got some music playing. It might be annoying. It might be uncomfortable. Your thighs might stick to the, sadly, varnished horse. You might get a splinter in your butt, but nothing you're going to die from. But as you're going up and down and listening to that horrible music, you're seeing. And that's where we've got to quit closing our eyes like we're on a roller coaster and sit back and kind of, I think I'm going to lose a thigh here, but I got it,
and a
But
lot of people are triggering into the, I've seen myself do this before. How did I get stuck in this before? And that's how I think you can actually break yourself out of that loop. Now, you might catch yourself in another loop now, but it'll be at a greater capacity for that of which you desire, right? Because the only reason you feel like you're in a loop is because you're not getting the thing you want. You kind of like a carrot who's or the horse and the carrot concept, where they lead the horse by having the carrot in front of them.
Right.
well, we've all had the cart so long in front of the horse, the poor horse is scared to go toward the carrot because they're afraid we're going to throw the damn cart in front of him again. You know, we've had the cart and then the carrot on the stick, and the horse is like, I'm back here. And you got, what are you doing?
Right.
Because we've had things out of order. We tried to,
True.
and human nature, we try to fix everybody around us because, of course, it's not us. We are never the problem.
Or you stare so much at yourself that you don't do anything. You just keep analyzing to the point of procrastination where nothing happens.
Yep.
And that's another loop that's
And
presented.
then we stop trusting our intuition when we analyze because we're so in our heads. We don't even give your poor intuition can be
Oh,
sitting there with a megaphone screaming, but you're going to look at the world around you and go, well, see, because this didn't happen, they don't care. They just don't care. They don't care. And, so then we go right into that 3D rabbit hole and go down there. And if you're not careful, you're going to get sucked in. But actually, I believe it was the Divine Maverick today. And she actually was talking about trusting your intuition and about that first emotion you get and not the triggering one. So this is where it gets kind of like deeper on this.
Mm-hmm.
You can be thinking of, say, the DM or a situation or money or anything, that whatever is on your mind. And so you're thinking about it and you even killed her. Things are going to be good. We got this. Might have to do this, this, and this, but you've got your plan. And then all of a sudden we hear this voice come charging in. Oh, but what if this happens? And then if this happens, and then if this happens, people think that's their intuition telling them bad things are going to happen. When you get that, that's the ego. When you get that uncomfortable feeling, that's not your intuition. Because even if you've ever, and I know you have, and I know I have, and I know April has, we've gotten those uncomfortable feelings, those heavy feelings of maybe something not so pleasant, shall we say, is going to happen. But we know that overall it's for the good. It's not that gut wrenching, I think in a ball and sob. It's not that feeling. It's that, okay, this probably isn't going to be so hot, but I got this. And that's where, but we stop listening to our intuition because we get that rush of ego. And that's where we miss that, because everybody thinks that's intuition. Anything that makes you feel icky or uncomfortable
or panicky
scared,
right, I'm being bullied. No. So to do things, that's why it is so super important for you to meditate. That helps to quiet the mind. You'll get used to that. What we used to, what it said in my practice, they call it that still small voice. It's tell you some things that you don't want to hear, but you can tell it. Like, okay, now you shouldn't have done that. Now, what you really actually should have done was X, Y, Z, or maybe you can tell when it's like it's the voice of reason. That other one comes up with crazy stuff like he don't want you. I told you. See, you went on and did that. See what happened. See, that's your fault. Okay, now wait a second. That don't sound like no still small voice. That don't sound like a voice of reason. That might even sound like a family member or.
Oh yes, yeah. And that's what I was going to say. If they start sounding like a family, especially a negative family member, or God forbid, if you've ever been in an abusive relationship and they take on that voice, that's where we just have to. And the only thing short of it, say nope. You can tell them that's not my story. That's not true. That's not happening. That's not what it is. And you have to go in and find that. You got to find your center. We've really got to ground right now with the veil being so thin.
It's very
ground. You got to ground.
Yeah, you must ground. And that's why again, talking about the merry-go-round, these things are coming as far as these triggers. Understanding these triggers are, it's your perspective. I've always said that too. Is the triggers are good. Look at it as far as it's something again that is pushing me to aspire me to go up higher to whatever next level that I need to. It's also when you have these things coming up, it's for you to choose another way. Okay, I've been doing it X, Y, and Z, but maybe I need to do it the simple way, which is just ABC. instead of me going all the way down at the end of the alphabet to find a solution to that. These things are coming back again. If you're feeling like, okay, I've been there, done this before, some say, yeah, you've been there and done this before, but you've been picking the same solution. Okay, that's what insanity. So, in the way of you doing it. So, you need to choose another way of how you're going to be able to do that. That merry-go-round thing, it should get to a point that, hey, you've been on those kind of scare rides, and after a while, you need to have that inner dialogue where you say, okay, I'm used to that. Here comes the buck. We're going up, we're going down, we're going to the side, we're going to the left. You know, I anchor myself, we're going up, breathe, whatever it is. It's for you to be able to have that inner dialogue. To the point of it, it's just almost like you space out of yourselves. I've been on rides like that, and it's just like, before you know it, it's over. Instead of you resisting all of the curves and the bumps and the turns that come along with it, that you will be able to, even in life, when those things come, you know exactly how to go with the flow or zone out, or just really say, okay, now this is what's happening. They're going to say this to me. I already know how they want me to react. Hey, I'm not going there with you. You can stay out there with yourself, because most of the time I usually go there with you. You start, I start. Hey, it's on. This time I see you doing it. Oh, that's interesting. That's nice. I'm not going to indulge in that conversation. Okay, I'm just going to let you stay out there. But what I will do is talk to you firmly and let you talk all that, and then tell you, okay, this is what's going to happen, X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. So you understand that when you see that, you're not going, what? I could have jumped on that merry-go-round with you, and we going back and forth like we usually do. But this time,
And
I got to do something different. So I'm going to let you do it. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, I'm observing. Oh, I'm seeing. Oh, that's the way you want me to react? No, I'm not going there with you. You're on your own. And this is how I'm going to react. I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm going to say it firmly. This is it. And so it's a whole different ballgame. And that's how they really, these things are coming. Not even if you have back and forth, or even a job or something, and maybe you might have been standing for a long time, and you're like, you know what, this is it. I'm going to stand in mine. I'm going to tell them I can't take this anymore. This is what I'm going to do. These are my terms, and they accept it, they don't. Hey, but last time, most of the time, I just go with it, say, okay, I'm here, and then before I know, I'm at work to 10 o'clock because it's something I should have said no to, and I didn't decide to. So, you know, it's about seeing it, say, oh, I know this, same script, different players, same characters, but knowing what you need to do differently this time, instead of you reading. Maybe go off script, maybe ad lib, so you can do it most definitely differently this time. Yes, it's going to come back again. In with these retrogrades, we always said before, it's going to have that which means revisit, reassess, reanalyze, relook at it, re-examine, your action, check your reaction, check your response to things. So all of these things are going to all come into play. Things are coming up. It's so funny. I always talk about tales from the school, from the job. I was coming in, my boss and the assistant principal came in my room, and I don't know where that came from. I was just talking in the classroom. I turned around, and the assistant principal, he was the man right behind me, and I flashed out, and I was traumatized by him coming in. I had to kind of hurry up and recollect myself. But if I could have bawled out crying. Now, where did this trauma come from? I don't know. Something from other past life thing. But whatever it is, that it's bringing out stuff that you're like, where in the hell is this from? And I didn't even understand. I was embarrassed by stuff that I reacted like that. I even told her, I said, don't you ever come in my classroom like that. Because I'm like, you scared the bejesus out of me. See, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. But whatever it is, she hit something within me that it came on out. So like I say, these things are coming out. Now, what does it tell me? Maybe, again, checking to see, again, maybe some other kind of sexual trauma or whatever. Maybe it came up from past lives or something like that, that I don't know. But I had to go back and recess myself. So I'm just telling you, it's just running the whole gamut of things of what is bringing out of us that we just don't know that's down there. It's almost like we hitting geysers, and it's much needed. I know, April, you wanted to say something. I kind of bantered some more while I was trying to kill time for you to come back from you. So
No, that was all so perfect. That was really perfect. You had a couple really gold gems that I was like, oh, let me hop on. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Look, we're playing double dutch, right?
right.
Um, but you know, a couple things. I'll just go with the last one because I really like that. I had this epiphany today because I've been studying and working with epigenetic trails and processes. And a lot of the stuff that's coming up is the suppressed stuff that has happened throughout our lineage as well as ourselves, right? And so when you can't actually trace the thing back, it's most likely, and we also have a thick layer of empathy where we can feel everything that each other
Yeah.
feels, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
there's so many layers of that, for lack of a better word, this Gestapo type of Nazi feeling of unrest and like we're being policed and all of these things that have been coming out of the people and the imbalance between these structures and our humanity that we have been easily catching on to these vibes within our own blood, within our own bloodline. So people who had to deal with issues of oppression via racism, or even if you're on the opposite side of you're oppressing, sometimes you don't want to be doing that, but you're doing it because you don't want to become the oppressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got all of this system of checks and balances, and when you're in flow, it's really interesting how to maintain that flow because there's all this stuff triggering our blood, triggering our genetics for us to enter. I mean, as much as we are, okay, so they say genetically, DNA wise, we are 99.998% a match of chimpanzees. Right? We have all the same DNA as every other organism on this planet. It's just about what's being expressed in what orders. Mm. I'm using a broad understanding of genetics. This is not exactly specific, so um, but in that sense, we are able to control that through meditation. We're able to downregulate stress hormones. We're able to connect with our nervous system. And a lot of our nervous system has been hijacked not only by the epigenetic trail of our ancestry into now, but also our specific traumas. And we have been removed, a majority of us, from nature. So we've gotten very clinical and we are going to control your body. We are going to control the space. And it's kind of like we're mirroring the earth, right? If we were working in harmony with our earth, things would be much more sustainable. We would not have an idea or a situation where there's lack. We would understand that the technologies need to be sustainable, but they keep talking about lack of resources. When you look at what one seed can grow, right? So in terms of how that relates to loops, if the seed is planted and it's watered just barely enough to survive, it's going to put out its genes that say, okay, survive under this stress, right? So it survives, it makes a fruit, it makes another seed, and that seed is more specialized for that environment of stress. So if you think about how many hundreds of times seeds have been replanted in order to create more plants, that's like us. We've been put under years and years of oppression and the perceived opposition and the perceived limitedlessness, or the limited concept, right? Like the scarcity concept. But in actuality, we just haven't been given enough water, right? We haven't been given enough support.
Mhm.
And so now we're finding out all these places that we need the support, we need the safety, we need the security to really allow ourselves to flourish as divine human beings. So when we're shifting out of the paradigm of this limited scarcity, like I'm not getting what I want, this needs to happen faster, why aren't I must not be good enough, like the ideas we're playing with ourselves and our self-esteem and our retraining our brain. It's really because we haven't gotten enough water, we haven't gotten enough through the support, the structure of the society, of all these things. So one of the tools I like to use is reaching out to community, even if it feels uncomfortable. Like when you get off of a merry-go-round, right? Because we want to use the metaphor. When you get off a merry-go-round, there's a couple things or a few things that might happen, right? One, you get off, but you kind of trip up a little bit and it feels kind of uncomfortable. And speaking to your neighbor might feel kind of uncomfortable and saying, hey, I kind of am having this issue. Do you know anything who can, without feeling like you might be judged because you didn't get off like a big kid, right? Tripped up, like I need help. Like I think I hurt my knee. Does that happen to people? Am I still doing it right if I get off like that? Or you can get off, sometimes I do, where I just full on alchemy, like nausea, right? It can be super uncomfortable. Getting off of a merry-go-round, even after it's almost come to a complete stop, and just like, I don't even know how to handle this change. You want me to go in what direction? I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be doing right now, and letting the anxiety get to you, letting the pressures get to you, when all you need is that community, that support, that connection. And so building the community, like playing on the playground with us, is a beautiful way to not only connect, but realizing we're all on the merry-go-round. It's not just you. And we can get off the merry-go-round. We can. The storm will eventually die itself down as enough things have been removed from it, and enough pressure is off of it from different weather systems and the right amount of humidity, right? Like just cooling all these different parts of ourselves down, realizing we're not under attack, realizing we're not in trauma. Now there are people on this planet that are in active war zones, that are actively being attacked, and children are being hurt and all these things. And what we can do is be calm, right? And how do we affect our environment with as much peace as we can, so that it ripple effects, right? That whole butterfly effect concept. And with the loop, what it does is it slows it down so everyone can realize that they're swooping each other up in the loop. Especially when people have attacks of ego and they try to come at you, they're like, get in this loop. And you're like, hey. And she just said that, hey, oh, that's the loop? No, see, the loop's over here, and I'm going to let you come to this vibration or just loop yourself on. And so there's some different strategies and techniques, like for people who are watching, or if you're watching this in the future, what are your techniques for getting yourself out of the loop, especially at this high stress time? I like self-forgiveness. That's a big one, right? I always feel so rough about myself for it's like, oh, I feel bad for feeling bad, and then I'm making myself feel bad because I shouldn't have felt bad. And like, why are you being so hard on yourself? You didn't do that thing. Well, you know what? So and so has done that thing so many times, but you couldn't do that thing. But it's like, oh, did they have a kid? Are they a single parent? Are they? Oh no, they're single, like bachelor doing their thing. Like, of course, of course, it's going to be a little bit easier for them to make that whole process happen. It's easy to make an album when it's just you on your machine and you don't have to do nothing.
I got this thing going, the rest of the band of the Beatles and Paul and them and John. It's just, I'm Beetle of one. It's not called Beatles. It says the Beatles. Okay. So,
a Beetle.
a Beetle. So,
Beetle, period.
Yeah, I agree with you on the forgiveness. I would also say they brought to me the phrase delayed response. Delayed response. Slow down what's all going on before you react or you respond to what's actually going on. That's another thing with everything that's going on here. And the continuous looping. I think a lot of times we go back that knee-jerk reaction. It's just like, bam, oh, you here? Oh, this what we doing? Okay, yeah. You see it coming, slow it down into warp speed, almost like you put it in slow motion, like, okay, stop. I'm hearing, okay, this is where this person is going. Oh, okay. And this really thing, because a lot of times, and I know that even when I'm doing like the podcast and even talking here, a lot of times our stuff is delayed anyway. We about 10 seconds ahead in our head about what we're saying anyway. We got a little delay uh, in real life, not just on here, period. So you can be able to say, before you react, it's like, okay, I'm going to slow it down. Instead of me having that 3 second delay before higher self gives me it's just like, okay, let's really digest, because they on a tangent anyway and they're talking, so let them go on ahead and over talk, and then let me talk to myself while they're talking and get myself together so I know how I can react to the situation. I think that is our issue, that we just go into it. I mean, I had to right now, especially as a fellow Aries, to tell myself, okay, let's not go right there. And if we do even go there and we find ourselves in that knee jerk reaction, we just reacting instead of remembering to respond, which means to stop, take, assess what's going on, and then give what we need to do and reply back. That it's something that we have to really take time out, and again, like I said, a new skill, a new technique to apply, especially to, because it's really easy for us to just go pew, pew, and that's it. But it helps you. It stops the stress. It stops saying things that might be something you can't get back. It stops you from when you going into that continuous looping to really see, okay, I think I heard them say this, but is this really what they're saying, or is this the inner childhood wound answering back to this? Is this okay? Is this really me? I think about that ex from Texas that I'm talking to when I talk to you. Is that really, or this job? I'm not thinking about this old boss that fired me. And am I trying to apply the same face to you? Is this really what's going on? Or do I need to really step back and say, okay, what are they actually saying to me? So this is, I would say, for that continuous loop, I say do a delayed response, slow down the situation, really kind of shift it through there with not the, like Kathy D say, not the ego, because the ego like, yeah, girl, give him a piece of your mind, let's go, baby, take the earrings off in the basket. No, we don't want to go there. But you want to really take time out and to really sink your teeth in it and let your calmer sense or your much focus or more grounded self do the response to it. So I think again, when we talk about that continuous loop, that's one of them. Now I can hear somebody say, well, right now if my mind is looping and I'm not mentally in my distortion, as David says, it might not be a voice of reason there. So what do you do then when you like, even my ego self or my voice of reason self, which is not really the same how this person's talking. They're not really saying, they're different, but you didn't let that ego override so that you can't even really be able to hear your voice of reason or the still small voice talk to you. So what do you do in those instances? Somebody just jumped in and said,
I like breathing.
yeah, breathing to help you get back centered again.
Well, it's like I've trained my body. You got to train, honestly. It's a muscle. It's a muscle.
You got to.
Yep. See, like mine's visualization. Yeah.
Okay.
Like yours is breathing, mine's visualization. I visualize that the white light coming down through the crown and literally, lighting up each, almost like a stoplight, lighting up each one of my chakras, and then going down into my feet, and then using the white light like roots. Then I let them, go on in. I don't take anything from Mother Gaia. I give that white light to her as, thanking, being gratitude, showing gratitude, being grateful for, allowing me to ground my crazy self to her. And then, I pull the white light back up, and then usually I just put it back up. So that's how
we
I
missed
ground.
the last part. Can you repeat the last part? Can you repeat the last part? After you put it into the earth, then something happens.
You sound like that commercial said. This costume.
It's exactly what it's sounding like. I said that I don't take anything from Mother Gaia. I just kind of give her the light in gratitude. Are we frozen again? Are we good?
No, I'm actually
Hey,
thinking.
Frozen.
I'm really liking it. I can
Okay,
feel
because
it.
I'm looking at.
Can we envision
I'm
it?
watching your TV move, and then I'm like, wait a minute, are we through?
Yeah, no. It's
No, I
What?
like it. I like it because I'm doing the meditation. It's just a visual, it's a simple meditation where you're visually going through the chakras. It all depends on how much time you have, right? But if you're coming up with a practice, practice different methods so that something will come to mind, right? Because no matter what you're
Right.
doing, you get to have an arsenal of these nervous system calming, higher body and energy aligning and clearing practices because we're all being
See,
thrown so much energy at this time because we're expanding with the earth. But one of the things I was thinking about while you were doing this is the nature of plants and plant manure, right? And how that works. The earth converts it. It takes time, right? It's minerals and all this stuff put together, and it breaks it down and makes some of the most beautiful gardens and flowers. And it's like the earth is not only a physical body; she's an energetic body as well, and she has energy bodies like we do because we're a mirror of her. And so, just watching what she can do with that energetic shift, or that energetic shift that you let go of, right? So you're bringing in light so you can house more light on her. But she's also taking that darkness and all that confusion and then lighting up the world so that it itself can make more beautiful consciousness. It's going to mirror back to you what it is that you're putting out. And if you're putting out self-doubt and, all this worry and stuff, it's going to come back as self-doubt and worry. And, whatever you look for, you find. So process and release that and know it's going to come back even better. When something you feel like you've lost something or it isn't happening the way you want it to, delayed response, right? And then it's that or something better. It's always true. It's all every time I find it, it's always been true.
Well, and our delayed response too, where some of these things are coming back up and we're like, I thought I took care of this. I thought I did.
It's a cute face to get frozen on.
This. I thought we're frozen again. It's one of those things where we've said, I thought I did this. I thought I cleaned this. I thought I cleared this. We have to remember too that there's a timing in this on some of these things that are deep wounded, especially if they're ancestral, especially if it's anything like that. There's a time. It's not going to be a quick fix. This isn't like easy off oven cleaner. This is just, we've got to go through and we've got to do the elbow grease and we've got to acknowledge it and we've got to release it and we've got to show gratitude for it. Because some of these really heavy things we're having to clear have actually made us the strong women we are and the strong people we are. So there has to be a form of gratitude, even so, in there, even through some of the worst stuff. There's always a little light of gratitude, if nothing else, than to show you can make it through that. You came out on the other side. Be grateful for that. Be grateful that, a person, another human can't keep you down. Those are the kind of things that, and so some of those things do take longer and they're going to come up in different ways. And some of them, it's just not
What you
time
doing, baby?
to release it yet.
Right. And you go,
how much soap did you use?
Hold on. Why can't? Okay. No.
Am I muted? I'm so sorry.
We all want to know how much soap we use.
I'll tell you. Right. I'm muting, and I'm like, it's not muting. I was like, okay, stop. It put some echo cancellation. I don't know. I didn't even know it had that on there. I found out later on.
Yodel now, yodel hee hoo.
Right. I'm like, I never heard that before. But what was it? Now I'm off topic, and I then went down the rabbit hole and whatever.
Well, I had said about, and you were kind of nodding with it, that some things it's just not time. There are certain things that we really have to sit with. It can't be, and I know people that are new on this journey, and so they're like, I'm going to sit down this weekend, and I am doing just my shadow cleaning. I'm getting rid of it all. It doesn't work like that. Our body, we didn't get it all like that at once, and we're not going to release it all at once. This is a process, and it's something that we're learning to do. I mean, even no matter how long you've done this, and I think you'll agree with me on this one. Even when you're like trained to help people clear this,
Right.
sometimes we're the most dangerous ones,
Yes.
because then we have a reference of, well, I'm not as bad as that one, and not as
Right.
bad as that one. I understand what I could have seen what her problem, and we don't see our own because
Because right, we're
we're so
using.
close. And I have
Uh-huh.
to teach them to step back and look at it, because when you're too close to it, you don't see it. And
That.
sometimes we have to step back, and it's like you were saying, the meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and ask, make it clear, make it plain, show me what I need to fix. Trust me, the universe has given us, God has given us this mission, this plan. We are here for a reason. We're to do something. He's not going to let us wander around and, suck our thumbs. When we say, show me, gladly.
Right. Yeah. No, they will do that. They do that. And just remember also, you guys always say about the ancestors. Always don't forget about
Mm-hmm.
the little guy, or the ones that you like. Oh, I forgot. Your inner child will tell you, no, I don't like it. Well, what's going on here? Well, you forgotten about what I actually said I wanted to do when I was 8 years old. It's like, okay, well, what do you say? I want to be a psychologist. This ain't what I signed up. What you doing now? And like, oh, okay, so this is why you're not speaking your truth. You're being quiet. You should say something. So your inner child will be able to kind of chime into. Your ancestors will also be able to help out too as well, because some of the ancestors, you'll be surprised, have been through the same thing you have. This ain't the first time the rodeo that this didn't happen in your family lineage. For some of them, it's like they tried and they did not succeed. So here you come along, like I said, you're the answer to what's going on, because it's like, okay, so call on them. They're like, we tried, but we failed. Okay. And so now here we want you to come and do greater things than we have done. Or they tried it, but they like, we could have improved on that a little better. There's some things I could have done a little better. And speaking of that, now I remember, some things are, I know they used to kept on saying about these exes, and I had seen other people's readings, and they had said that these exes are coming back. These exes are coming back, and you'll be surprised that some of the things are not really exes like people, but maybe things that you might have X'd out, or people from the past that you're like, oh my God, because I was on Facebook and it was an ex. I came across that, and I seen they were living life and doing well and remarried and things like that. And I remember me when I was in my karma years, or being distorted years, some things that I had did in college age. And I had to sit there and I said, you know what? You need to forgive yourself for what you did, and you need to forgive also his part too as well. It's interesting how the universe is just bringing up all this stuff. It's just like it's the last stand. These things. I don't know what say last stanza. With all the they have that unfinished symphony. That's probably why they said that unfinished symphony card. It says that like we playing music, and like the song of life or the key of life, and how we really are coming towards that end there, or closing of a chapter to start a new one. And these things are being brought to us to say, hey, you from
Mm-hmm.
people that you have even forgotten. They got maybe cobwebs on the book. It's like, oh my God, this book, oh my God, this is dusty. This is back there in 1995 with this dude. So, it's like you have to go all the way back. And it's like, bring this up because some kind of ways we thought maybe we have forgiven or forgotten or let it go. And it's suppressed this down there. There's some hurt that you've done, initiated in that. And I think also it's making us go back during this time to really see our role. Because some of it's like, well, I was young, I was done, I did that. Yeah, I did say that to him, and I did thought that at that time. But then as an adult, you can go back again. That's that merry-go-round with a new perspective to say, you know what, that was kind of wrong. Your part is, I understand about youthfulness and being 21 and all that stuff in college time, but let's take some ownership about some things that what you had done
Mm-hmm.
as your part. So again, it's not even back there and there. It could be even now things that have done, experiences that you see, or even it has taught you, like Kathy D said, now you got a new tool set to say, okay, when you're doing things, it's no more this sweep it up at night. They the one that made me do it. No, you sit there and you say, okay, You know what? Yeah, I went there. I do see my contributing factor here. I see how I also added on to it. This is again for us to really, that's maturity, that's spiritual maturity, and that's this maturity period that we're showing that we are growing. And again, like I said, for us to keep on doing things, that's stunning our growth. So we should be at this point in our journey where we are trying new skill sets, new tools, new everything in order to deal with the things that are here. My concern is, and I talked about that with April and Kathy D, and even my concern is a lot. Some of the people that I've talked to, I see we're still on that merry-go-round, and it's like you should have now grown from there. And it's some things like Kathy D said, it's something that is still holding on to that little last piece there that is like you said, maybe it's identity. I never thought about it, and they're not willing to let it go. They said, no, can't do it, can't think of nothing new. You have to remember again at this twin flame journey, we came here so we can start something totally different that has not been done before. Rather it's for our family, or whether it's for love, or what it is in our mission. We have to understand it. So that means it's going to require a couple of things where we're going to have to push from our known philosophies, ideologies that we're used to, and we got to think about out of the box. I think they said somebody said the Aquarius thing is also running. I don't know how that comes apart with that, and that's what it's pushing us to. I don't know. I know the Chiron is the wounded. That was a good thing they said that too about the wounded warrior, and how we have to these times too, and then I let it go, are talking about how we go to bat, how we go to war for things. Maybe some things that we've been going to war about, and we've got to again reassess about how we've been going. Do we really need to go get that sword and that shield and start battle axing everybody that comes our way? Or is it really like, you know what, I push you down or I hit you with it. Maybe I need to extend my hand and say, come on up, my brother. That goes back to April saying about the community. A couple of us been smiting every damn body on the battlefield. And it's like some of them, you've been smiting some of the people that's playing for your same team. You so busy you don't see that. So this is again is where we've got to go back and reassess it about who is really friend and who is actually foe in this whole thing. And I think we have, because the person doesn't think like us, talk like us. I'm here in the jungle, but I want to be like you. I want to walk like you, talk like you. Just because they don't do it, that don't mean automatically throw them in the foe category. Like you enemy number one. Some of those people that disguise as enemies are really your number one fans. You just don't know it, but you got to change the perspective of it. I'm gonna let it go. Okay.
And some of those that are friends are actually foe.
Right. Amen to that.
And we got to kind of and be open to another thing I found lately, and I don't know if it's just me, but as the veil is getting thinner, the earth angels are coming out more and more. I know I was having a moment, and the DM, came in my head and was like, "Damn it, woman, stop thinking that." And as I passed a student in the hallway, and now I teach at a huge high school, and as I was just passing a student, kid made eye contact with me and looked right at me and nodded his head and said, "Yep, that's right." And I took a double take and I looked back at him, and he was like looking at me like, "What are you looking at me for, lady?" So these things are happening there, so we have to really pay attention, and we have to catch ourselves to, and still when we say, oh, well, that's just a coincidence. No, it's not. Quit playing small. It's not a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, good, bad, and ugly, and amazing and beautiful. It all happens for a reason. And when we accept that and we're like, okay, universe, it happens for a reason. I know you got the right idea. Lead me where you need me. It turns out better than we ever could have imagined.
Yes.
So we've got to just be so open to these things and really stop playing it small. Stop not trusting our intuition and thinking lesser of ourselves. Last week we talked about, kind of jacking up our pedestal with the DMs. But even if not doing that, we've got to acknowledge our power, and we've got to be allowed. And April and I talk about this a lot because she's always on me about, you have a lot of power, and I never felt it. I never saw it. I never saw myself as being powerful. I always saw myself as being weak. And when I finally, and it's one of those things, people have to be willing to do it. But when I finally let that get through my thick skull, it was amazing, the power that I am able and to do good with. Not to do, I'm not talking about doing bad things to people or anything, but I will a kid to school every day to make sure he's on time to first period. He's got over an hour drive. And he's a great kid, great artist, great football player, just all around nice kid. And I literally will him to school every day.
Mm.
And the mornings that things go hairy here at the house and I don't get a chance to do that real quick meditation for him, he's late.
Mm.
And when he comes to the door late and I go, traffic? Yes, ma'am. I'm like, all right, sorry about that. And he looked at me and he goes, what? I'm like, yeah, never mind. But we have to know that this power that we have, our gifts, maybe not power isn't the right thing, but a gift that we have is to be the light for other people. And that's one of the reasons when I ground, I send that light that's gone through every one of my chakras down into the earth. I give back. I project out my energy and my light, not in a depleting way, but as in a way of gratitude. My cup now is getting to the point where it overflows. And now I want to give back to the earth and to Mother Gaia when I need this grounding, so I can be the decent human being I need to be, that we're able to give that back in a way that is actually energizing. Because when you do something for somebody and they're never going to find out, and you kind of do it kind of a little mischievous, but it's just kind of like where you maybe pay for the person in front of you's coffee at McDonald's or whatever, and you don't know, and it's just just tell them I got it, thank you, and don't worry about it, and you take off, and you catch yourself the whole way there, you're just smiling, not because you're like, I am such a wonderful person, you're like, I hope that made their day good, I really hope that made them happy, and you feel good. And that's kind of the feeling I get when I do that grounding, because it's like, I hope the earth knows how much I appreciate all the times that I wandered around and stomped on it and did all these horrible things to it before I knew what it did for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we've got to get into that gratitude with everything.
Come on, April.
I'm like just waiting. I'm like, this is good. This is some good stuff right here. It was the concepts that kept coming through about receiving, right? So one beautiful thing about what she's saying in terms of giving altruistically, because you really want to lighten the load of those around you. I think that's part of the divine feminine's nature, or the mother's nature, is to care and to uplift those around her, whether known or not known. Of course, it's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice to do those things, but that's beside the point. When you're in a space of giving, right? And I did this with compliments, right? Because I'm very complimentary. I'm very just loving and genuine and present, right? And so I found throughout the process, because if you're doing it directly, sometimes people reject that because they're afraid of that. They think you're actually double-handed in that sense. There are people who are that way, but I myself am really unattached, because I just enjoy that lifting people up and these kind words. And that's kind of how I was raised to do, right? We are together as a community. We do get to feel valued and appreciated. But I thought about how many times I had a difficulty receiving that, right? So there's some of us that are so used to the loop of being uncomfortable or undesirable or detached, or being a little bit at odds with things. What if part of getting out of that loop is allowing yourself to feel comfortable, allowing yourself to receive that beauty, that gift that's there? A lot of people want to invalidate themselves because they've had a few invalidating experiences, bad relationships, etc. But when you actually step into that vibration of, yeah, I'm worth it. Yeah, I know I can step into that light and love. Yeah, I know I can receive these kind words and these compliments or this free coffee without feeling suspicious or uncomfortable. It's like, how often are we in the space of wanting to be offended? There's something about the culture within the United States, and I don't know if this is other countries. So if you're from all over the world, let us know what your country is like. But when our entire culture is built on an imperialistic concept and construct, and it was one taking from another, and oppressing specific um, marginalized um, groups, right? So we have this very offensive, like, oh, you signed this treaty, or oh, you gave this thing. Well, you're probably going to double back on that, or is that everything's kind of a little bit suspicious, right? We do have that tendency to kind of be really reserved. It's even hard for a lot of people to receive a compliment.
Mhm. True.
So even shifting out of that storm, that paradigm, it's like, okay, let the compliment land. Okay, let the person, you know, let the world show you, as much as you're willing to give it with love, it wants to give to you. It wants to just see you happy in the vibration you're creating. So step and enjoy that loop, right? Because it's not that loops are terrible things. They can be used for your benefit. Like if you're spiraling in abundance or spiraling into prosperity or spiraling into like the connection and building your soul family and all these wonderful things. But they can also be used to keep you out of your true desires as well. And the key is to bridge the gap. So what are your methods for how you want to bridge the gap? We said meditation, self-forgiveness. We said allowing and receiving. Right? These are all. I started to recontextualize the world, right? Because we started saying, what did I do? Let me own up to where I was at odds in certain places in my life that I found difficult, right? Because I'm not about victimization. I'm more about empowering and reclaiming, making decisions from places in the now that can, one, heal that wound as well as heal it for others, right? Because if you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the world as well, especially if you're doing energy clearing, clearing, generational wounding, all these things. It's a very ripple effect. We are bodies of water, by the way. So I started to own all these in a deeper meditative practice where I'm working with the DNA over a yoni steam, right? Because you're opening yourself. You're allowing yourself to work with the prior or the next generation. I said prior. Oh, that's a weird way. The next generation.
I thought you said fryer. I said she's frying up something.
She's sitting on a fryer now. That makes yoni steaming to a whole new level.
Yoni sauteing. No.
Yeah.
No, it's just working into.
What is it? Bugs Bunny always did fricassee.
But you can start to work with the epigenetics of what's there, right? I feel like I'm holding on to this excess tension. I feel like I'm holding on to this excess friction because I don't necessarily haven't seen, well, I have seen, but for example, I haven't seen a healthy working relationship between the masculine and the feminine. So I'm going to call that in. Oh, being still. That's a good one because I like to just wiggle. I can't sometimes. Oh, the reframing of the world. Okay. So just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
True.
Right? And you can actually call it in. It's like, show me, universe, show me more healthy relationships. And then maybe you'll see an older couple walking down the street. Show me more confirmation of people maybe closer to my age that have had healthy relationships or they know how to talk to each other. Or let me see or pull in healthy experiences and visions of like integrative parenting and connected intimate relationships. Like you can call these abundant women, or whatever it is that you want to call in to your space, so that you can get into that vibration or that loop just by acknowledging it. You're getting yourself closer to it. So once you start seeing patterns, you'll realize what you're calling in. Once you start seeing things opening up and you give space in your mind to allow there to be healing, allow people to get better, allow things to get out of loops. But when you're in a loop yourself, it's difficult to see things improving, or it's difficult to see things improving. You want to see things like dwindling simply because you're in that loop too. So be careful also what you say to others and what you cast upon others as judgment,
Yeah.
because that's also calling in for yourself. And when you can change perspective and leave room for them to have a healing experience, you yourself leave room for a disconnected or a connected healing experience. It's a very ripple pond effect here. I'm noticing it happen faster and faster. Oh, I was talking about reframing earlier, but reframing, instead of it saying divine masculine or, like wounded masculine, I think of it only in the perspective of myself. So whatever you're picking, it's like, where was I wounded? Where was I empowered? And what vibration did I like attracting from? Right? Because that's what's going to be the most sustainable for you. To kind of, even if you're referencing back, you can pull that into the future. You can pull that into the now. And by holding that frequency and that energetics in the now, you can call in these higher vibrations. But it does take consistency, because there is a delayed response. Do your best to remain suspended in that place of wanting to bring in. And as soon as you feel yourself, or you notice that you're shifting out of it and you're getting into that negative headspace, or getting into that negative calling in, use the tools we talk about. Use the tools of being still, breathing, gratitude, receiving. Like, use these tools, because that's what's going to get you back into flow of creating the future you want, the desire you're craving. So,
Hey, if you like what we're saying, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe to this channel, The Playground Experience. So I think that's a good place for us to start. I think we really have hit all nooks and crannies of this, and so it's time for you to go and take what has been applied and talk to you today, and to go and apply that into your life, world, and affairs. So let's go to our community thing, which is what's going on for you, Kathy D. I do see yours at top, so I'm gonna start with you. It's easy to find you. Uh-huh. Anything going
you're
on?
muted, I think. You're muted,
You're
I
muted
think.
because she's muted because of the baby. See, I wanted some
I,
time.
I know, because she'll breathe in the mic and it sounds like somebody's having an asthma attack. Nothing really right now. Probably not really much till November is going to be really coming out. Might have some surprises for Sunday, but we'll save those for Sunday. But so the main thing is, as always, empty the virtual sand out of your shoes and your socks. Please put your own shoes and socks back on. Pick up your virtual juice boxes, get your own virtual sand pail, and wishing you your best life ever.
Yes, all right. And April Williams, anything going on over there?
Just the huge. This is your last chance to get the 9x9x9 on my website or Etsy if you want to do payments. Getting wonderful results. I mean, can I just say this? This is so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But the one of the what do you call them? Okay, one of the people doing the 9x9x9 ended up doing it right
Participants.
before the whole shutdown. You remember the Insta everything blackout? She had just was in the middle of it, and it was just like, whoop, it popped off. Now I'm not saying that. Nah, I'm not going to say anything other than that. But I'm working on a few things that I will be talking about as soon as they're finished. I'm excited for our 10/10 event. So that's going to be free on the Divine Unisouls channel. We're going to have a lot of awesome speakers, and I have a lot of stuff set in mind visually so that you can actually set into this new start. Because once you're flowing in with spirit, it's gonna be easy, but it's gonna look a little cray. To some, they're gonna be surprised at how quick the turnaround and all these things are happening. So trust your instinct and show up at 2 Central, is it?
Yeah, 2 p.m. Central. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Over there at Divine Unisouls 11. The event. I should have sent the date, but that's all right. Divine Unisouls 11 at 2 p.m. Central. So we got it packed. We got everybody's on board that I have talked to. So we got my aunt that's going to be on there. She's going to do some yoga, some movement. That's what I thought. And so then we got you two guys going on them. Benita's going to be on there as well. She's got some channel message for us. And then Audrey Simper is going to come back, and she's going to talk about traumas and emotionals and really unearthing those things to get us ready there. And then Stephanie, she's also a counselor too, as well, and she's going to talk about fundamental and how to kind of get yourself ready first starting over there. Because like I said, now my new thing is understanding. I think we are so spiritual that we forget about the mental aspect. Some of us kind of hit a wall. We keep on doing that, and I know I said that's really giving homage to like Kathy D, because she's more into she has the spiritual, but the background is more so into the mental. And so understanding that those two things go hand in hand. Again, that's where the divine masculine energies and the feminine energies, not just in the man and the female, or male and female, but that too. So helping us to understand that, like, if I'm using all this, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm doing what she's saying, I'm still looping. Hey, maybe it might be time for you to go sit down with somebody who is a specialist in that. Now, the only thing is, it's great to work with people like I said, Kathy D, because she knows about the twin flame. It's a little special aspect. That's why you have to sit there and say, okay, I can take what that person is saying, but the rest of it, I don't know if that kind of applies. You got to come in there with a very strong mind. So I'm very excited about this one. Is the last one for 10/10, and we're going to have us a lot of little dance thing at the end, play some music just to kind of get us all hyped up and celebrating and saying thank you for what we have done and the good work we applied in 2021, so we could get ready to blast off in 2022. And that'll be the last one of our transformational series, which will be 1/1/22. Interesting. 1/1/1/1 for 22. So all those 1/1s. So we really are going to start off with intentionality starting the new year. So that is pretty much it there as far as that, because we just really more so want you to come out and just really come out and show out for Sunday for that one. All right then. Kathy D. Semi already got us out of here. So April Williams is just
stay blessed, stay golden. And remember, you are made for this golden life.
All right. Then as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and namago. Thank you for those of you out there. I see some new faces there. So thank you so very much. Make sure that you come back and hit that like, share, that subscribe button, and notification, so you know when we go live. Because sometimes we'll say we're live at a certain time, but we get so hung up in the background of catching up and trying to get ourselves together about the topic so we can hit some gold to bring to you. So you'll know, say, yeah, they're on. It's they're on. We're live. We're there. Trust us. We are there.
The only time we're on time is when the divine masculine, like Sean, is here. We are just, to the T. But we get a little divine feminine.
He like the time. He does. He like, okay, it's my he get a little nervous. The divine masculine comes out in me too. I'm just like, okay, but just shut up. Then go sit down, because that's it.
We're holding the hand. She's holding our handbag. Basically.
Oh,
well done.
Right.
Well done.
So that's all right. So we see you, but you know, on Sunday we will be on time. So all right then. So as always, see you all. Love you and thank you. Until next time, we will be talking to you real soon on the Playground Experience. All right then. Good night and see y'all Sunday.